Hello, sports fans. It is Thursday, January the 10th, the year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. We have 4 big NFL matchups to preview. We'll get to that in a second. 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. Before we do that, I want to give you some scores from last night from college basketball and the NBA. Let's start with college basketball. Number 2, Michigan at home just blows out Nebraska. Michigan continues to play great ball. Louisville goes into Seton Hall and gets a win. Kansas at home absolutely escapes against Iowa State. Iowa State has to be kicking themselves over this game. Kansas wins in overtime. Iowa State had basically a 6-point lead with less than 2 minutes to go. They had total control of this game. Kansas rallied. Iowa State missed a couple big free throws. Kansas hits a 3 at the buzzer. They actually bank in the 3 at the end of regulation. That sends the game into overtime. From there, Iowa State looked stunned, and Kansas rolled in overtime. Kansas, out of their last 101 home games, has won 100 of them. 101 in their last 101 games at home. How good is that? I mean, that place is a mecca of college basketball. The fans are tremendous. But Iowa State had them beat last night. I mean, Iowa State is got to be kicking themselves today for losing that game. They should have had that game. And Kansas, 100 out of 101 home games. And they don't play cupcakes. They play in the Big 12. There's some big schools there. Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. There's some big schools that come into play there. So really tremendous home court advantage for Kansas, but they did get lucky last night. Syracuse goes into Providence and wins. Very close game, but Syracuse wins it. Minnesota, really nice win at Illinois last night. Minnesota, that's Tubby Smith's team. The Big Ten is loaded. Minnesota is off to a tremendous start. Only 1 loss. That was to Duke. Minnesota's got a really nice team. Illinois, a little spotty lately. They started off very fast. They've been up and down lately. They blow out Ohio State. They come back and lose here. They're up, they're down. So we'll keep an eye on Illinois. Got to be more consistent. Florida just bombarded Georgia. I mean, unbelievable blowout there. Florida won by like 40 points at Florida. I like Florida's team. Butler went into Philadelphia and beat St. Joe's. San Diego State beat Fresno State. NC State beat Georgia Tech. And a late night game at the Pit in one of my favorite arenas, New Mexico, beat UNLV in a good game, New Mexico. The crowd is to die for there. That place is a madhouse. New Mexico gets the job done at home, I should say, last night by beating a good UNLV team. As far as the NBA last night, the Spurs beat the Lakers. The Lakers continue their losing ways. The Lakers cannot get out of their own way. Oklahoma City drubs Minnesota. The Clippers keep on winning. Dallas keeps on losing. Clippers beat Dallas. And Memphis went into Golden State and won. Not an easy thing to do. Golden State's got a very good home court. Memphis went in there and beat Golden State. So that's some of your scores last night. Also, real quick on the Hall of Fame voting. No one made the Hall of Fame yesterday. They didn't vote anyone in. So I guess it's not going to be a big ceremony this year at the Hall of Fame. I mean, they're going to basically introduce nobody. Nobody got in. No Barry Bonds. No Clemens. I mean, no Biggio. No Piazza. No Bagwell. I mean, all the rumors about steroids with all those guys hurt just about all of them with the exception like Biggio. Even Mike Piazza has been linked to possible use of steroids. I mean, nothing has ever been proven, but people out there believe he did it. People believe Bagwell did it. Of course, we know everyone thinks Clemens and Bonds did it, along with McGuire and Sosa. So the whole thing is just a complete mess in Major League Baseball. I mean, how do you have the Hall of Fame and you're not going to have like a Bonds or a Clemens in there or Piazza or Pete Rose? I mean, I don't like the Hall of Fame to begin with. I know who the immortals are. I mean, I know Hank Aaron is an immortal and Mickey Mantle is an immortal, and I know the Hall of Fame has gotten watered down pretty much. They let a lot of, fringe players get in the Hall of Fame now. Players I don't think are so great. I mean, they get a lot of compilers in there, guys that play like 30 years, like, say, a Phil Niekro. He gets in there because he compiled a lot of stats. I don't need the Hall of Fame to tell me who's a great player or not. I know Mickey Mantle was a great player. I know Hank Aaron was a great player. So to me, the Hall of Fame has lost its luster completely, and now this voting with all the steroids, a complete mess. So that's the story with the Hall of Fame. Nobody gets in, so it should be a great ceremony next year for the Hall of Fame when they introduce nobody. Anyway, let's move on to the business at hand. The 4 big NFL matchups this week. I'm very excited. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty in football. After this week, believe it or not, we are down to the Final 4 in pro football. Unbelievable how fast the season goes by. Let's start with the Saturday games. Saturday, 4:30 Eastern Time. That is your first game up on the docket. Denver at home, -9 over Baltimore. Denver absolutely on fire. Peyton Manning on fire. They can't lose. They haven't lost in months. Their defense is solid with those two pass rushes. With Dumerville, they really can rush the passer. With Von Miller as well. Really nice defense by Denver. We know their offense can get the job done with Manning. Good home crowd there at Mile High with the altitude. I mean, they already beat Baltimore in Baltimore and made it look easy that day. I mean, Baltimore is a terrible road team. They haven't been playing good down the stretch. They even struggled a little bit with the Colts last week. They kind of left the Colts in the game. I mean, Baltimore's defense is not as great as it's been in yesteryear. They're more of an offensive team. Flacco, to me, has to prove he can get it done on the road. Baltimore this year and in years past has not gotten it done on the road. Can they do it at home? Yes, they can be a bully team at home. They can beat you at home. They have trouble taking their act on the road. They have been a horrible road team this year. I see no difference here this week. I don't see Denver losing this game. Denver already beat Baltimore in Baltimore. They're home. They have a week off. Baltimore's a bad road team. I don't like this situation at all for Baltimore. I know they'll give you an effort. I know they'll try hard. Denver's not going to lose this game. I mean, come on. Do we really think Baltimore's going to go into Denver and beat Denver? Not as hot as Denver has been. Not against Peyton Manning at that defense. Baltimore has struggled on the road. They are not going to win this game. I like Denver to win comfortably here and move on. So I like Denver -9 over Baltimore in your first game. The Saturday night game. Saturday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. The San Francisco 49ers at home. -3 over the Green Bay Packers, and this is an intriguing matchup. Remember, they played week 1 of the NFL season this year. San Francisco beat them up at Lambeau Field. San Francisco absolutely beat them up in week 1. Now, that was with Alex Smith quarterbacking. Remember, we have Kaepernick quarterbacking now. Can Kaepernick do it? I mean, this is only his first half a season starting. He's very inexperienced. He has a lot of ability. He can run. He can make plays. He's got more talent than Alex Smith, but Alex Smith had the experience. We'll see if Kaepernick can avoid those turnovers. As far as Green Bay, we know Rodgers is great. We know the receivers are great. Green Bay has some question marks, though. Their offensive line, they've given up a tremendous amount of sacks this year, and San Francisco's defense is very tough. Green Bay's running game, have they ever had a 100-yard running back in the last few years? I think they've gone 52 games without a running back getting 100 yards. That is a question mark. Their kicking game, very questionable. If it comes down to a big kick, their kicking game, Green Bay, is very spotty. Can Green Bay do it on the road? We got to see if they can do it on the road. Their defense is spotty as well. They give up a lot of points. They do have some playmakers on defense. They do have Raji, on the front line. Matthews is back at linebacker. They have Woodson in the secondary. Those guys are going to have to create havoc. They're going to have to maybe create a turnover or two. Green Bay's defense is not great, but with those guys playing, they maybe can force a turnover. Maybe Woodson gets a big pick. Matthews is sacked that forces a fumble. Remember a few years ago when Green Bay won the Super Bowl, they didn't have a great defense. They gave up a lot of yards, but they always came up with a big turnover, whether it be Shields or Woodson or Matthews. They need to get that done here today. I like San Francisco, and here's why. I think San Francisco in most areas in this game is better. The only area they're probably not better in is quarterback and receiver. I think San Francisco's got the better running game, and I think most important, San Francisco has got the better defense. I think San Francisco's got the better offensive line. I think in the trenches, San Francisco's better. They had a week off. They're home. They already beat Green Bay. I like San Francisco here because I like the better defensive teams, and San Francisco, to me, is the better defensive team in this matchup. Yes, Rodgers is dangerous. Green Bay, would it shock me if they won? No. We know Rodgers is great. We know the receivers are great, but they give up too many sacks. And their defense is not that great. San Francisco should control the line of scrimmage, should get that running game going. That'll keep Rodgers off the field. I think San Francisco's defense carries the day here. They get a lot of sacks. They get the job done at home over a tough Green Bay team in a very, very nice matchup. So that's your Saturday game. San Francisco -3 over Green Bay. Let's go to Sunday. The early game, 1 o'clock on Sunday. The Atlanta Falcons at home, -2 over Seattle. Very low spread considering Atlanta is your top seed. had a bye week, and Seattle is now back-to-back weeks on the road. I mean, very low spread. Much respect for Seattle, and deservedly so. Seattle has shown me a lot. They really have. I like Wilson, the quarterback. I like their running game with Lynch. Their defense is ferocious. They're proving they can win on the road. Pete Carroll has done a tremendous job with this team. Here's what I like about Atlanta. They have a week off. They're healthy. They're home. Abraham's going to play. Matt Ryan at home has always got the job done. Matt Ryan's home record is just off the charts. He never loses at home. The Atlanta receivers are really good. Jones and Roddy White. Roddy White is a very underrated receiver. A lot of people don't know too much about him. He's a very good receiver. You put him with Julio Jones, you got some combination at receiver. Atlanta's defense has been solid all year. Yes, Seattle's defense is equally as good. Here's what I don't like about Seattle. First of all, they lost their pass rusher, Clemens. He tore his ACL. He's going to be out. That's a big loss. I don't like the back-to-back East Coast trips for Seattle. They had to go all the way to Washington last week, all the way back to Seattle, now all the way back to Atlanta. That's a tough trip. That's one of the longest trips in all of sports as far as, the United States, Seattle to Atlanta. I mean, after they traveled to Washington last week. Plus I don't like the early start here. This is a 1 o'clock game on the East Coast. That means in Seattle time, it's going to be 10 in the morning. Seattle's time's going to be all messed up. When you travel like that, you're kind of a little off base a little bit. You kind of feel a little funny. I think Atlanta's going to get the job done here at home. I like Matt Ryan at home. I mean, if this game was in Seattle, I would pick Seattle in a second. The game is in Atlanta. They're home. They're healthy. A bye week. Matt Ryan and those receivers at home. Wilson, a rookie quarterback on the road. I think Atlanta gets the job done here. I think the spread's a little too low. I think Atlanta -2 over Seattle will be my pick for that game. All right, let's move on to the Sunday late game. Sunday, 4:30 Eastern time. The New England Patriots at home, -9 over Houston. If you remember a few weeks ago, New England blew out Houston 42-14. Why is this game going to be any different? Houston's defense struggled down the stretch. They did play better last week against Cincinnati, but Cincinnati was right there in the end. If Dalton doesn't overthrow A.J. Green in the end zone, Cincinnati may win that game. So Watt needs to play really big for Houston. Joseph needs to make some big plays in the secondary. Schaub has to avoid the turnovers. Foster basically has to carry the day. He has to have a big game on the ground to keep that New England offense, off the field. I think at the end of the day, New England's offense is way too much. I mean, New England put up 42 points on them the first time. Why would I think Houston can stop them this time? Houston was spotty at the end of the season. Their defense was given a tremendous amount of points. I still don't know about Schaub, if he's an upper echelon quarterback. He is a good quarterback. Can he be a great quarterback? You're now playing a great quarterback in Brady with a week off. Belichick, a week off to prepare. Up in New England, I think New England's going to win this game. I'll take New England -9 over Houston in your late afternoon game on Sunday. So I like Denver, San Francisco, Atlanta, and New England. Denver and New England, I definitely like big. Atlanta will be a little closer, but I'm very comfortable with that. San Francisco, Green Bay, that's the tough game. You could talk me into Green Bay. I think San Francisco's defense will get the job done. And believe it or not, next week we will be down to our last 4 teams in the NFL. Are we going to get New England and Denver? Imagine if we get that matchup next week. The AFC, you kind of think your favorites are going to win. NFC, a little more muddled. You can see anything happening in your NFC. So it should be a wild week in the NFL. It always is. And just when you think you have it figured out in the NFL, some team surprises you. I mean, whether it be the Steelers a few years ago as a wild card when they beat Manning and the Colts and went on to win the Super Bowl. The Giants have done it twice. The Packers won it, winning all games on the road when they won the Super Bowl. Just when you think you have it all figured out, a surprise team comes up and bites you. So we'll see if we get that this week. So that's your NFL picks for this week. As far as a few things to keep an eye on over the weekend besides your football, I will be back with you Monday, of course. Here's some things to keep an eye on in the NBA and college basketball. NBA real quick. Tonight, Knicks at Indiana. Carmelo Anthony looks like he's going to be suspended for that game. That's a shame. That would be a really nice game. Without Melo, you'd think Indiana would get the job done at home. Dallas at Sacramento tonight. Miami at Portland in your late game. Portland playing a lot better. If you're up late tonight, definitely check out that game. Portland has some of the best fans in the league. Friday at Houston at Boston. Chicago at the Knicks. Melo should be back for that game. San Antonio at Memphis. Nice game. Oklahoma City at the struggling Lakers. We'll see if the Lakers can actually show some life. Portland at Golden State, really nice West Coast game. Saturday, not too many great matchups. Memphis, Dallas, not too great. Sunday, Indiana at Brooklyn, Golden State at Denver, Oklahoma City at Portland. Portland's got a few nice games this week. Portland hosts Miami, then they go to Golden State, then they host Oklahoma City. So if you're looking for some good basketball, keep an eye on Portland this week. They played 3 nice games over the weekend. College basketball to keep an eye on. Tonight, you have Arizona at Oregon. Arizona has found new and creative ways to escape with wins all season. St. Mary's is at Gonzaga. That's a big rivalry. Michigan State at Iowa. That's Carver Hawkeye Arena. Nice atmosphere there. Friday, you have a little matchup, Creighton and Missouri State. 2 nice little programs, although I shouldn't call Creighton a little program. They can play with the big boys now. Saturday, Duke at NC State. All right, I'm telling you right now, I'm going out on a limb here. I know. I usually never pick against Duke, but let's face it, they're not going to go undefeated. They have to lose a game here somewhere. NC State has been my team all year. I think they're going to be my surprise team in the tournament. I had them last year in the tournament. They did me proud last year. They advanced a pretty long way. I'm calling the upset here. NC State at high noon on Saturday, Eastern Time, at Raleigh. NC State upsets Duke, and they storm the court in Raleigh. NC State beats Duke on Saturday. You heard it here first. And if Duke wins, don't get too upset with me. But I'm calling the upset. NC State over Duke on Saturday. Also on Saturday, Villanova at Syracuse up in the Dome. Should get 30,000 up there. If you ever get a chance to go to the Carrier Dome, please do so. Illinois at Wisconsin. UConn at Notre Dame. These are Saturday games. Here's a nice Saturday game. Minnesota number 8 at number 5 Indiana. You talk about a juicy Big Ten matchup. Minnesota at Indiana. Really, really nice game. If you're around on Saturday, you're looking for some college basketball, that is a game to watch. Minnesota at Indiana. Bloomington, another one of those meccas in college basketball. And Sunday, Michigan at Ohio State. I know it's bigger on the football field, but it's still a big rivalry. So if you want some college basketball on Sunday, you got a nice rivalry game there, Michigan-Ohio State. Like I said, it's a bigger game in college football. Still a nice game in college basketball. Michigan is ranked 2, and Ohio State is having a good year as well. So that is where we are for your sports today. That's what to keep an eye out for on the weekend. You have your college basketball, you have your NBA, you have your big NFL Saturday and Sunday. I will be back with you Monday. We will recap all the NFL games, go through everything that happened over the weekend in the NBA and college basketball. Anything else we need to touch on in the sports world, we will do so on Monday. You guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for bearing with me with my voice. Once again, I'm suffering from a cold. It seems like I've been sick with a cold for 2 months. One day I'll be 100%, I promise you. Thanks for tuning in. You guys stay safe. Enjoy the games over the weekend. I will talk to you Monday. Take care.